So I wanted to talk about some more trades today and have a general trade conversation about value and about baseball trade values. It's incredibly ambitious to try to nail this for all 30 teams and to be good at, the major league level and the minor league level, prospects and established guys, and have those values make sense. And it is imperfect, and I don't have a problem with anybody that kind of rolls their eyes when they see some of the trades that are built at this site. I'm just trying to say that, number one, I think the biggest takeaway is this is the best tool anybody's built to try to do this. And I think that's cool. And number two, it's an incredibly difficult thing that they're trying to do. Because, I get that a lot of people find holes with it or don't find value in it. I can understand that perspective, but the problems that I would see are probably different than the problems that somebody else would see. So it's like, how do you do this perfectly that everybody, it's impossible. It's basically they're trying to do something that's basically impossible. So I think once you are open to that idea, once you're not scrutinizing things so much and expecting it to be perfect, the bottom line is, and especially when we're here in lockout time with no baseball news going on, this thing is fun as hell to play with. So that's the bottom line for me. Is it perfect? No. Are they doing a great job with it as far as I'm concerned? Yes, because it's such a difficult thing they're doing. And it's so fun. So we're going to talk about it today. And I'm going to use it actually, though. There is definitely some value in it, even with some of its flaws. And I found a great conversation that was going on Twitter that really is going to wrap up why I see value in this tool. All right, so as you can see here, I've got Twitter pulled up. And I saw this poll from Keat_on as his username on Twitter. As you can see, at Keat, capital N34 on Twitter. And he says, hypothetically speaking, if you can only trade one of these players and they all bring back relatively the same return, which I think is the key there, who would you rather trade? So I think if the language was, if you can only trade one of these players and they brought back what you felt was fair value, then I get the results here. However, the question is, if they all brought back relatively the same return, this doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, there were over 600 votes on this, and I'm pretty shocked that Max Kepler got more than 50% of the vote. If you were to trade these players and they all brought back fair value, that I understand, because it's like, who is the most guy you'd like to see traded out of this group of four? Max Kepler makes sense. Totally get that. And maybe people just didn't kind of consider that or read that fully when they looked at this. Because Max Kepler, he's a corner outfielder. The Twins have corner outfielders coming up. Trevor Larnach, Alex Kirilloff, addition to, Luis Arraez can play left field. They just have a lot of other options in the corner outfield, and Max Kepler is coming off a bad season. So I totally understand if that was the case. However, my vote was for Taylor Rogers because he is not only our relief pitcher is just not as valuable, but he only has 1 year under contract, and it's basically he's going to be getting paid what kind of his salary is going to be equal to what he's worth, essentially, Taylor Rogers. So with this in mind, taking this kind of a question, let's go over to baseball trade values and see what their trade calculator comes up with. And I'm not only going to give you the things that I agree with on them on, but I'm also going to kind of poke some holes in some of the other things too. So let's head back on over there. All right. So again, back over on baseball trade values, let's just throw the Twins in here and see what they say about those four players. Because again, the verbiage on that question was if they had the same return or similar return for those players. So top guys we see here, Luis Arraez. Second, they have Max Kepler in terms of value. Okay, so those are the two most valuable guys of those four that were listed on there. Next guy, Mitch Garver. And then last on that list, again, Taylor Rogers. So let's talk about why these values are the way they are. But first, I want to say I think Mitch Garver should be higher. There aren't many catchers out there that can hit like Mitch Garver, and it's not like he's some kind of a Minnesota secret. I mean, the guy is a silver slugger to his credit. And then I do think Max Kepler is a little overvalued by this at this point. I don't know that they have adjusted things to account for his down 2021 season, but I want to get into that. How down was that season? Well, we're going to get into that in just a moment. The end result number is definitely down, but there are some other things that indicate that Kepler was as good in a lot of metrics as he was in 2019 when he got MVP votes. So we're back at Roster Resource. This is one of my favorite tools. It's now hosted on Fangraphs, just to take a look at some of the contract situations to kind of give you an idea from there. So Taylor Rogers, he is 1 year of team controls left. And this is a projected salary of $6.7 million. And then he's going to be a free agent if the Twins don't sign him to an extension. So that's why, in my opinion, he would be the guy that has the least amount of trade value. He's only got 1 year of team control. That salary is basically, I think, kind of fair market value, pretty close to it for Taylor Rogers. So I don't think there's like a lot of surplus value there. The other guy is Mitch Garver. Again, just the positional scarcity at catcher is a big consideration for me in trade value, but he has 2 years of team control left before he's a free agent in 2024. And then we look at Luis Arraez and Max Kepler, and those guys have quite a bit of time. Luis Arraez, this is his first year of arbitration eligibility this year. So he has 4 years of team control before he's a free agent. So if anything, I kind of feel like potentially Luis Arraez's trade value is a little underrated at baseball trade values, given that he has 4 years of team control. And then Max Kepler, he has 2 more years under contract, and then this third year is an option for $10 million, but it's only a $1 million buyout. So if something happens to where he gets back to that 2019 level, you're happy to pay him, these salaries throughout that stretch. Even at $6.75 million and $8.5 million, that's very reasonable for an everyday right fielder. But I want to talk about Max a little bit more here. A lot of people are down on Max Kepler, and that poll definitely shows how down. And I understand that to a certain degree. His overall production, his WRC plus, which 100 is league average. So he's 22% above league average. In 2019, that dropped to 107 to 95. So he was below league average offensively in 2021. So definitely Max Kepler has seen a fall from his excellent 2019 season. That makes you curious about a lot of things. One of them, certainly the ball. We know the juiced ball of 2019. The Twins fans probably know about that better than anybody watching the team break the home run record. And then things are a little bit back to normal the last couple of years. They've been using, that's a whole nother video. They've been using 2 different balls apparently. But it makes you wonder certainly how much of that had an impact on Max Kepler. We're looking at his actual results on the field here. But if we look into the guts of what kind of went into those, you can be a lot more optimistic about Max Kepler. And I think the best way to look at that would be to go to Baseball Savant and really the snapshot of his sliders. Everything, literally every single one of these metrics is above league average for Max Kepler. And as you can see there, the outs above average is an outfielder. He's in the 95th percentile. So he's an excellent defensive outfielder. There's so much to be optimistic about here. When you look at it this way, you look at his final numbers and it's, it is like, yeah, we probably need to replace this guy. When you look here, it's like, what is going on? Did this guy who put up these metrics put up overall numbers that were this bad? We just looked at those end results for Max Kepler in 2019 compared to 2021 and how different those were. Look at how different the sliders are. It's like he's the exact same dude. If anything, he got better. Look at the chase rate. It's way better in 2021 than it was in 2019. This is definitely something I think if you're kind of down on Kepler, if you're a little frustrated with Kepler, if you're looking for some optimism regarding Max Kepler, that's all you got to do. Check that out. That gives you everything you need. So thank you for checking out this video. We're going to talk about more about that baseball trade values in the live stream that I do on Wednesday evening at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. So if you're available and want to come hang out and ask some questions, maybe throw out some trade ideas, come stop by, hang out with a bunch of other Twins fans. We'll see you then.